Today for my tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make a dock for The Sims 3. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so first what I want to do every time I make something is create an outline for myself, because with all the grass and water and everything else it can get very confusing. So pretty much what I do is just take a standard tile and lay it out on my map, and it doesn't matter what tile because we're going to be deleting it later anyway. And I think I'll change the color just to make it a little easier for me so that white can be distracting. Okay, next you're going to want to make a tiny little porch, just enough for your stairs to fit, and that's going to be the base point for your dock. Okay, now if you've ever made a bridge before in The Sims 3, you're pretty much going to do the exact same thing. You're going to put little miniature porches, as I call them, on every other square. Alright, so this is me after I've finished, and I'm just filling it in with the floor tile now, and that's what it will look like. Okay, and so now, and this is really important, you're going to want to delete every little miniature section that you have, but you're going to want to do it one at a time. And then you're just going to fill in floor tile where it was. And the reason we do it one at a time is because if you try to go through and make it easier on yourself and delete multiples, like a lot of people try to start with, you'll end up getting hung up, and I'll show you why. Because once you delete multiples, as I'm doing here, next time, you won't be able to put your floor tile where it needs to go, so it'll try to go under it. So you don't want that. Okay. So just go through, and I know it's time consuming, but you'll be worth it in the end. And just delete one section at a time, and then fill it with flooring. Just like that. Okay. Alright, I'm going to skip ahead now to the finished product of that, because this does take a while to do. Keep in mind to keep your beginning stair, because what your product should look like afterward. Now you can go through and delete your tile, because your dock base is pretty much set. So that's what I'm going to do. Just delete the tile. Now comes the fun part. Okay, so now you're going to want to go to your water tool, and you're going to want to, well, you're going to want to go down a level if you want to. You're just going to want to add your water tool all over the place. In fact, you can go ahead and make your lake or a river or waterfall area or whatever you're going to make. So in this case, I'm going to make a lake, and I'll skip ahead. Okay, so this is my lake. Not too fancy, but it works. Alright, and now here comes the tricky part. You're going to want to level your terrain with your leveling skill, and you won't be able to see what you're doing. So you're just going to have to click and drag, and I'm going to use this little green spot in the lake as a reference, and you can see it now a lot easier. But this is where the bottom of your dock is going to be placed with pillars. So you're going to want to make sure it's even, and you're going to want to have it set at the right level. So you may have to tweak a little bit, raise the level, lower the level, and to do that all you have to do is click and drag. So now I have my pillar, and you really want to put MoveObjects on, and which, if you don't know, is MoveObjects space on after hitting Shift CTRL-C. It'll pop up on your screen. Okay, so now I'm just placing them, and the tiles weren't exactly where I like them to be. So as I was saying, going back, raising the level a little, and leveling out to make it exactly where I want. And if you're fine with where it's at, that's cool. I mean, you do what you want. But I like it to be a little more elevated because it adds to the feel of it for me. So that's what I'm doing. Okay, so that's exactly where I'm going to want my pillar to be. I like it a little bit above because I'm going to add an extra detail later. Okay, so you're just going to go and try to follow a basic line or pattern with your pillars. Place them ever so often, or closer together if that's what you like, whatever you're into. And on the corners, I like to turn them diagonal, but, you can keep them straight. Okay, so I'm going to skip ahead because I'm just lining the entire dock with these pillars. Oh, okay. Alright, so this is my finished dock, and I don't like the color of it so much. I like it to be a little darker so it matches the pillars. So I'm just going to go through and change the color of my stairs and the rails, and then eventually I'm going to change the dock itself. I like that, like deep dark brown. Okay. Alright, so once I've done that, I'm going to get my fencing tool, which, you know, if you've ever created a fence, you know where that's at. It's in build mode. Click on your fence. And I like to use these little bamboo ones. Probably one of the first ones you can get is those really tiny fences, same ones I use for parking lots. And, you know, I just change the color because I like everything to match when I'm doing anything. It makes it look a lot more smooth and like it belongs there. And then it's fairly simple, you know, it's just like when you create a fence or a wall, you're just going to click and drag and it'll line it. And you probably won't be able to see it really well at first in certain areas, so you may have to turn your map a little bit. I normally have to. But that's all it is. You just click and drag, until I get hung up. And it's pretty easy, you know. And you can add taller fences if you want, but when I'm doing a dock, I like to have the really small ones because it's not a bridge. So, you know, it's just whatever you feel like doing. Okay, so that's pretty much your dock. And I like to add a little character to mine. So, turn it sideways. I'm going to add a boat. Now, the way you can get the boat is to type in Buydebug, that's all one word, and a little miniature screen will pop up if you have the world creator. And that's what I'm using. So, all you do is you click and drag in the ocean like we did, or lake like we did earlier, and make it all level to a certain area. And see, I'm still underwater here, so it works. And I'm just going to place my boat on top of that. Granted, remember, moving objects is still on. And then, I'm just going to get rid of all that extra land I don't need. And, okay. And you're still going to have a little bit of land sticking up, that's normal. And, you know, you're probably not going to be able to get rid of it. So, I normally just go into and change the terrain. So, that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go with a dark, deep earth dirt, because it will reflect off my bridge, and it'll kind of look like the boat's reflecting in the water. And I like the look of that and the feel of that. So, and get rid of that little area there. Okay, so that is it. That is your dock, and now you're ready to play. This is the dock I created for my lake. Hope you enjoy.